the likes of Nick Tronsky, Andy Fryer, and James Wolfensberger put Eastern Connecticut on the map through their exploits in duckpin bowling's Eastern Classic, the longest running and most prestigious tournament the sport has to offer. This year marks the 85th edition of the Eastern Classic. Over the years, duckpin bowling has undergone changes big and small. Even the venue of the Eastern changed, moving 1 mile down Route 32 in 1968. But duckpin bowlers have always been able to rely on one thing: the annual Eastern Classic. Over the years, the legends of duckpin bowling have cemented their places in this sport's history by winning the Eastern Classic. Tronsky, Fryer, Wolfensberger, Farrant, Lavers, Pierce, Wolgemuth, Cabral, Pelletier, Piles, the greatest of all time. Who will join this elite group this year? You have 12 games, gentlemen. Let's see what you've got.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Duckpin TV's live coverage of the 2018 Eastern Classic. We've got new bowlers to share with you, then different bowlers than when we left off with you. We've also got different staff in the booth, slightly different staff in the booth. I guess we got similar cast of characters, but now Jim Kaufman is joining me to call the action. Jim, what have you seen so far? You have caught up with some of the scores. We're dropping in on shift 4B. And who are the bowlers in the top of the leaderboard for this shift?
Well, when we left them earlier today, the three leaders were Bernie Hipkins, John Zekas, and Chris Louth. And unfortunately, it's been a relatively quiet start for the three of them. Of the three, I would have to say that it is Bernie Hipkins, who's still keeping up pace. He has a 8-game score of 1157. Chris is a little bit behind him, 1146. And John Zekas has fallen off the pace a little bit. He's down at 1106 for his first 8. So he needs to make up some ground, not only to catch up with Bernie, but to catch up to the overall tournament leaders.
Yeah, it's quieter in the alley than it was just a few hours ago when we had shift 5A in here, and I would say it feels like the bowling is quieter too. A couple of lower games than those three bowlers probably would have liked to start off with. We've got Bernie, who's definitely still in the mix, and then 1157. He's averaging well in excess of 140 for 8 games. He's opened up this game with 4 consecutive marks: spare, strike, spare, spare.
Right, he's got 68 plus in the fourth, and his first 2 games this evening are in the 290s, so 154, 142, so a 296 start. Not bad. I mean, definitely very close to the 150 pace, but the fact that he started behind the 150 pace coming into tonight, he really doesn't have much margin for error.
Yeah, I think the same is true of Chris Louth, who isn't quite having, isn't off to the same start that Bernie is this game. He's just 48 in the fourth. And then John Zekas. You can see the scores, by the way, folks, being updated live as they throw the frames at the bottom of your screen. And John Zekas' score being updated to 62 in the fifth. So it's been an eventful day. I know last shift was very busy for everybody. Certainly, certainly, Jim, you were running around trying to keep up with scoring. Brian, our executive producer, has been trying to keep cameras in place and direct all the action. And yeah,
It's a long day for us and a long day for the bowlers on shift 4.
yeah.
They bowled their first 6 games this morning and now coming back for another 6. And I think we talked about this earlier, having to take that break in the middle. 6 hours off or whatever the time was in between can work to your advantage and maybe work to your disadvantage as far as tightening up and fatigue setting in.
Yeah.
Or you could use it as a time to rest and re-energize.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that really feels like it could go either way. I mean, I like to think of it as, for my personal style, I probably feel more comfortable trying to get 12 games done in one day. Think with the thought being that if I'm going to bowl well in the morning, I got a better chance of bowling well at the same day than I do coming back the next day.
Right, you're more likely to maybe remember or not forget what you're doing
exactly
to get to those scores.
But even that, things change frame to frame, game to game.
That's Duckman's.
Never mind 3 to 4 hours. You could shoot 900 and 4 hours later shoot 700. So Bernie is off to the right of your screen here, and he's filling a spare and headpin hit. He's got the 7-8 to shoot at. Clearing a little bit of deadwood. Bernie really ended his first block of games strongly. Was definitely trending in the right direction. And Jim, as you said, not a bad start here. Just
no. Just again,
there is a pace that's being set that's been set so far that is well above just the 150 pace, and it's hard not to think that you've got to be at 153, 155.
Right, right. And it's an odd situation for these bowlers because you already have a handful of bowlers that bowled the first weekend. We had about 34, I think, entries the first weekend, and there are a couple of scores up there in the high 1700s to shoot for. So those are the numbers. Those are the 12 game scores that are on the books right now. But then you also have Jesse Deach, who broke 950 for his first 5 games, and some guy named Eric Leteska, who shot almost 930 his first 6 games. So you have to think that of that group of bowlers that have already exceeded 150 for their first 6, at least 1 or 2 of them will probably or maybe do it again. So bowling now, you're not really quite sure what the number is that you're trying to shoot for. But it's at least 1,800, right? That's what I would think.
Right. You got to think that 1 or 2 or 3 of the guys who were up there, 950,
right?
That they're going to be able to come back and find 850.
Right, exactly.
Not a guarantee. Nothing's guaranteed, of course. But,
even if Jesse's 100 pins less than what he was his first block, he's still going to break 1,800.
Right.
So just a matter of how high over that number.
Yep.
I mean, we all love to be as high over as that number as possible, but it's a moving target, I guess is the best way to explain it.
Mm-hmm. John Zekas carried a strike in his 6th frame. Chris Louth getting ready for his 6th frame on lane 17.
Working on a spare, 58 plus in the 5th. So kind of a turning point here, one way or the other for the game for him. He's had a rough first half. Bad fill on a spare in the 3rd. 3 fill 7 box. 4 fill 7 box.
And that ball is very well thrown.
And not only that, good fill and an opportunity to get another mark.
I don't think Chris's final score hasn't quite risen to the top of the Eastern standings in recent years, but I do think he's somebody who regularly gets himself 1,700, north of 1,700,
Right.
and probably earns a prize, a cash prize.
Right.
And,
I'm sure if we look back, he's probably cashed more often than not.
Yeah.
Recently. And someone who I know when we're going through the rosters of the different shifts, he's someone that you want to know where he's going to be bowling because there's a likelihood that he could put up a good number. So
Yeah.
And here's another one, another bowler you want to keep your eyes on as far as putting up big numbers. Bernie Hipkins, following Chris on lane 17. Bernie started this game with 4 marks in a row and opened in the 5th frame, so he's 84 halfway through his 3rd game tonight.
I think he'd be okay with another 84 in the last 5.
I would. I'd take 168.
168 would be
Daily.
It's John Zekas.
In the
John
background
buries it
there.
in the head pin. Brings 2 pins about 8 feet forward, but leaves
The
2 other
goal,
pins.
yeah, the
8
goal
feet
posts.
behind it. Oh, and Bernie Hipkins through the middle.
Root for 7. Seen a good number of bowlers over the course of this weekend give this shot a ride whenever there's a rip. You have a side and side and spread eagle type situation that they've been able to get pins over to the other side. And Chris converted one in his first shift for a spare, but not meant to be for Mr. Hipkins here. But he does get his wood and finishes with 9, so he's 93 through 6. And just looking at
might
this,
not have looked like it on the screen, but that actually was a pretty good attempt at the 710. It doesn't go very often, but it does. It's pretty exciting.
I don't think we've had that on the stream or on any of our coverage yet.
No.
Be nice to have, nice to capture. Immortalize the 710 conversion for somebody.
Yeah, I have memories in my childhood of PBA bowling. There's somebody covered the 710.
John Mazza.
John Mazza, you know exactly.
The big
who it
bug-eyed
was.
guy.
That's right.
Yeah. Lefty.
And they used to air it in their credits.
Yes.
I think we would have to do the same thing if we caught it on our camera.
I think Brian would definitely put it into the opening montage.
Yeah. Chris Louth attempted a spare. All tracks a little bit beyond the 6 pin.
And one thing I think that works to Chris's advantage, he's got to be one of the most even-keeled bowlers on the lanes that I've seen. He seems to always have that same
Really
demeanor, expression.
would have a hard time figuring out.
Right. If he's bowling, if
how
you
he's
just
bowling.
watched him bowl and didn't watch his score and didn't watch the pins,
Yep.
you just watched him throw the ball.
You were just talking to him behind the lanes, you
Right.
really wouldn't know.
Whether he shot 100 or 200.
Yep. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, step away from the action, roll a commercial, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
I think Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know. He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just gonna figure out how we're gonna do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated and Collins champion.
Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5-pin, and we have a tie. Again, our live of the 88th running of the Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic. If you've been following us over the weekend, you know that we've had some misfortune relating to the weather, and then other technical difficulties. This has been 2 years in a row that things haven't gone exactly as planned. Both last year and this year, we've really tried to make it a point to persevere through all the problems and get ourselves on the air, get the bowling, make it available to you, and we hope that that's that's understood, right? It's we don't. Obviously we're here. We sit here all weekend, and we're trying to get everything up and running, and we're grateful for everybody's patience. Hopefully, we have your understanding as well, and we're excited. We're excited to finally be on air for the remainder of the tournament, and I'll cross my fingers and knock on wood that there's no problem like this tomorrow. But so far, so good. Since about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, we've been up and running and reliably streaming the event live.
Yeah. And we're trying everything we can. It's hard to explain just how badly we want to be able to provide this and provide it in a professional way with the footage, the camera angles, the replays, the commentary, and greatly appreciate all of the donations we recently received. Enabled us to purchase a lot of new equipment, new computer monitors, camera, upgrading the editing software. And the one variable that we have a hard time with is the internet.
Yeah.
Where we're kind of at the mercy of the internet sometimes, whether it's a connection or the streaming quality. I know there's been some comments about maybe lagging and stopping and starting. Unfortunately, some of that is beyond our control at this point.
Yeah,
but
it's a difficult problem to solve.
Right.
We spend a lot of time talking about it and thinking about it, and then just troubleshooting it in the the heat of battle on a Saturday morning and afternoon when we would have liked to have been on the air. But we're continuing to try and improve. We're problem solving our way through every
Right.
every issue you could imagine, and then sooner or later we're just we're going to have worked every bug out of it, and
But I think
God willing, we won't have issues like this anymore.
But you can see some of the improvements as far as we have the scroll at the bottom of the screen. We have now live frame by frame scoring. I think that the video quality with that new camera that we purchased is improved. So
Yeah, I agree.
definitely taking strides in the right direction.
Yeah, I think obvious upgrade for me, just sitting in front of a monitor and watching things and seeing what viewers can see to keep up live with the action. I mean, let's not forget how much is just going on in this tournament, and the fact that it's not head-to-head match play. It's everybody against everybody all at once.
Right. Where instead of focusing just on 2 bowlers or 4 bowlers, we're focusing on 40 bowlers or
And if
12
bowlers
12
are
or
bowling
40
well,
bowlers.
we have to
Right.
we have to figure out how to talk about all 40 bowlers. It's
right.
It is a challenging but very exhilarating and fun thing to do.
Right.
That's why we enjoy it, and that's why we're so pleased and privileged that I think the community has made their assertion that they appreciate it too in the form of donations. We couldn't be happier about that, and we take the responsibility, I guess, that we have here pretty seriously. We're looking to show a return on the investments that the community has made, and hopefully you agree that the improvements in cameras and technology and graphics and everything is there, and hopefully and ideally going to continue to get
Right.
better. So
Right.
I think this is becoming a tradition of ours, Jim. Saturday night
Saturday
shift,
night
we end up.
feels a little more relaxed. Like you said before, it's quieter in here. It's not quite a full shift.
There's a little more
Seem-
time to talk about some things that
Right.
that are on our minds.
Definitely feel a little more
Yeah,
relaxed.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to interrupt.
Hello, Brian.
It is a more looser, relaxed time on the Saturday night traditionally. So we're going to put a challenge out there to our viewers. If we can get to 100 viewers at the same time during the stream tonight, Eric is going to compose a freestyle rap about bowling.
And I think we can very,
Air.
very easily get to 100. We were well in the 140s earlier today. Right now we have 13. Oh, they're on their way to 100. We have 13.
Going right up, Eric. So Eric's
Viewers.
gonna start composing. If
Oh,
we can
boy.
get to that 100 viewer mark, we're going to hear that freestyle rap about duckpin bowling by our very own Eric Lateska.
Did you agree to this, Eric?
I absolutely
even know
did
this was
not.
gonna
But no, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to say challenge accepted. This is not a skill of mine. But listen, if we can get to 100 viewers, we can share and like and promote videos here. Yeah, I'll embarrass myself in front of 100 people. Just going to have to start plotting how to get back at Brian for.
He can beatbox for you.
Well, while we were chatting, the bowling continued. Scores adding up in the bottom of your screen there. Bernie wrapping up his 9th frame. He's got 10 there. That's 131. There's another game just kind of like the first two for Bernie. It looks like high 140s, maybe 150.
Yeah, and kind of a high pressure 10th frame for him here because again now you're in the second half of your tournament. You're not averaging 150, and you need a mark just to get to 150 for this game. So it's almost feels like a must mark, or else you're losing even more ground.
Yeah, and I imagine the pressure is mounting to try and for the games that come after this to be
Right.
above 150 by a fair amount.
Nope, we're up to 20 viewers.
20 viewers, all right.
Put the hat to the back. So Chris Louth, same situation as Bernie. He's only at 120 through his first 9, so he needs a mark just to only lose 10 or 12 pins to the pace. And feel free to comment on the stream. I've got the stream up on my laptop here, so if you want to fire away any questions to Eric and myself or to Brian, we're here. Let's talk. Let's chat. Whether it's about the Eastern or duckpin bowling in general or
Yeah.
Eric's taste in rap music, whatever it may be. Ask away.
All right, so Eric, we got to start. Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, that's a good. Did somebody ask that, or is that a question from you, Brian?
That was a viewer question.
Oh, that is the most difficult question imaginable. I mean, if it was 1993 or something like that, you're supposed to have an opinion. But now,
Tupac.
now so many
Come on,
years
it's
later,
Tupac.
come on.
Stop.
No, I actually,
West Coast.
I actually would. I would probably side with Biggie Smalls.
Well, we got a problem then.
Yeah, it sounds
We got
like
beef.
It sounds like it.
Have you watched that show? I know they're doing a mini series about the murders of Biggie and Tupac. I haven't
I have
watched
not
it.
yet.
No, me neither. I think it just started.
There's something. There's a new. I think there was a movie about Tupac, or is it the series? Maybe
I think it might be the
showing
series.
up on HBO.
Yeah. No, no, I think it's on a cable channel.
Okay.
A&E, maybe? I don't know. It looks like Chris Louth had missed the 5-pin for a spare there in the 10th, so he's going to finish with a 129, so obviously disappointed. I'm sure he's disappointed with that game. He had a
Probably, and
strike in the 8th, and he had some momentum there, possibly heading into the last two frames, and opens the last two for 129.
yeah, I think that third frame, 4-fill-7 box, that set him back, and
Trying to play catch up.
you're
from
trying
there.
to manage yourself through games like this, and this one really was kind of a seesaw. Unfortunately, ending with probably more disappointment than anything to be happy about. But like we said earlier, I mean, it's Chris. Chris
Right.
isn't
Even
really
Steven
that bothered by that,
Louth.
in the long run.
And I think we have Pat Ruffo in the house here. Saw
Yeah.
him just walk in. So I think what I'll
Hi,
do
Pat.
is once he shows his face here again in the booth, I will defer to him and I'll go and collect some scores. See if
bet
there's
Pat's
anything
gonna
else to
have-
talk about.
Yeah, he's going to have some opinions about rap.
Oh, yeah, big ones, I'm sure. Pat the DJ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, he's a sensible person and knows that it's Biggie Smalls, not Tupac, who
Well, if we want to talk, if we're talking about hip hop from a modern sense, one thing I don't understand is the whole mumble rap thing. I don't know if you're familiar with mumble rap.
I've only
don't
heard
get
of
it.
this phenomena,
I've heard very small snippets of it, and
and I have to say,
I don't get it.
I mean, I feel like the words, they mean the opposite thing: mumbling and rapping. Rapping, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, if you can't understand what they're saying, you can't really
mumbling? Is it more
get behind what they're saying.
Is it more just like trying to make harmonizing, or is it trying to?
Yeah, it's like zombie rap almost. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of very monotone, and the words kind of flow into each other.
Yeah.
Not in a good way, I don't think. But
Yeah.
maybe it's just because I'm getting old. I don't know.
Hey, Jim, let's put that on record, though, that Eric does not think mumble rap is an acceptable form of rap. So if we get to 100 viewers,
He can
he has
mumble
to
his
do a
way through.
freestyle rap on Duckpin Bowling. No mumbling. He's got to
Oh.
enunciate.
Ah,
So again, guys,
That might be entertaining to
people
listen to
watch.
him mumble rap, though. Put a bunch
deny
of
that.
marbles in your
I can't
mouth
deny
and
that.
start talking about bowling.
it's going to be pretty entertaining. Regardless, I think, and I don't mean that. I don't mean
It'd be entertaining for everyone but you.
Yeah, right.
Like watching a train wreck.
Yeah,
It's not really something you want,
in
but you can't
slow
look
motion.
away either.
yeah, in slow motion. All right. Well, this has been an excellent conversation. We're going to take a moment to step away for a break. We'll come back. We'll do some updates on scores. Bowlers just completed their third game, and maybe Pat will be with us when we come back. If that's it, it's been fun, Jim. We'll talk to you soon. All
Will
right.
do.
See you soon. Bye.
I think Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know. He's just okay. I want to do that, so we're just gonna figure out how we're gonna do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. he's figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. McClellan's champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5 pin, and we have a tie. Welcoming back into the booth, Pat the Weatherman Rufo. Pat, welcome back. Yeah. Well, so you had an update, a good road trip. What happened while you were gone?
Well, I left and headed to Boston University to watch my daughter run in the. I left the bowling alley at about 2 o'clock or so and drove up to Boston. And my daughter ran in the ECAC 5K, and she PR'd by 20 seconds. She had a great night.
That sounds like a pretty wide margin to
20.
set your
Well,
own
yeah,
record by.
she was. She wanted to break. She's been trying to break 17 minutes since she basically went to college, and she had never quite made it. She was down to 17:09 or 17:10, and tonight she put it all together and she ran a 16:52, and very excited.
That's exceptional.
So yeah, drove home and listened to you guys most of the way home, and keeping up to date on what was going on. It was big doings in the shift 5.
Yep.
Some scores there. A couple of names I recognized, and another name I recognized, but not because I thought he would be competing, just because I know Stacy very well.
Yeah.
Bowled with him for years, and he had a great afternoon.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But John D'Antonis and Don Dove in the 900 club as well,
Yep.
along with you and Jesse.
Right. And all guys, even Stacy, all he's got to do is put the 6 games together
6
today,
more. Right.
today,
Right. I mean,
tomorrow, and
you put up an 1800 and then you sit and watch.
yeah, put up an 1850 and see. And,
Sure.
you're
Sure.
locked. You're probably going to be locked into the top 2. That would be one of the highest.
I
scores
would
in
say
recent
yes.
years.
As far as what's been happening in the past 6 to 10 years, I would say absolutely
Yeah.
This shift doesn't. I talked to a few people as I came in, and doesn't seem to be a lot going on score wise tonight so far.
It's not. It hasn't been. I mean, the person who stands out here is really hanging in there. I would say for them is Bernie, and Bernie's got almost. He's got like 440 for his first 3, and
It's like
all right,
yeah,
that's great. That's great
great.
bowling.
It's
It's
just like 20 pins under.
yeah, that's all. But he's hanging in there. Chris Louth is fighting to stay alive here.
Right.
He fell off the pace a little bit more than Bernie did last
Yep.
game with something in the 120s.
Well, we see Bernie right now on 19 ripping the middle on that ball. At this point, I mean, they're still they have 2 more full games plus most of the 4th game. One big game here in the finish, and then average it out, you got a shot. But they need a big one somewhere.
Yep.
At this point, these bowlers need a big game.
And we're getting to the point, right, where the clock's starting to feel like it's running out.
Well, yeah, because now I mean, they know what's on the contenders know what's on the board.
Yeah, and
They are aware of what they need to hit.
Jim and I were talking about the things that the scores that the bowlers that are here are probably imagining they need to contend for the win here. They're looking at who's the scores that have been posted,
Right.
and they're seeing 950s.
Sure.
Two 950s at the top, a 925,
Yeah.
several other 900s, and then gaggle of bowlers around
And-
it that are
Correct.
more than capable of putting
Steve
up.
Dreyer, Kyle Shaw, within the 900, even Will Rigney,
Yeah.
all within 20 pins of 900.
So these bowlers, along with probably everybody else, is projecting something like 1825 at least.
Sure.
You know.
And then Billy Thomas.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So those guys are all capable of going 950
Mhm.
tomorrow.
Yep.
So
So that's now out in front of these bowlers.
Right.
They've got 3 games registered from
Right.
their last shift, and you know they're well behind that pace at this point. So they're now, you know, obviously nobody's counting themselves out, but you're either
but they're certainly looking at it going, I got to
Every
throw
ball-
a big game
every
soon.
ball, every bad ball
Yeah.
is a little bit more magnified. Every
Right.
time you go through the middle, it hurts a little bit more than it did before.
Right.
Um,
There's Bernie coming back up now he's on lane 20. So if this is their 4th game, Bernie is going to have an opportunity to finish on 1 and 2, which historically in this house, 1 and 2 have been the lanes where if you're going to put up a big number, that's where it happens.
sure.
So
I-
he's got 2 chances down there to put up a big score.
Right. I think there's, you know, the majority of the people who bowl frequently in this alley will tell you that 1 and 2 is their favorite pair.
Even
and
in
I'll add myself to that list.
Sure,
It's-
and
it's
even
my favorite pair.
during this tournament, the high game in this tournament so far is a 216. Andy Fairlett was
We're
on 1 and 2.
That's right.
So I mean, that's one thing. If Bernie, I don't know. I'm sure Bernie knows. So at this point, I'm sure Bernie's thinking, "Get me through game 4. Let me finish on 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And take my shot."
Mhm.
And he did make a single on that last box. So
Yep.
it looks like John Zekas, despite the break, didn't come back with the flurry that he needed to start the second block.
No, it really rough first game to it. I think I don't quite remember what the score was, but it was a major setback. I mean,
I talked. He said he had 379 through 3, so
Yeah.
he was very upset. Obviously, he averages 450.
he does. Yeah.
So
Pat, maybe you can give, you know, while there's some quiet moments here, maybe you can give people a sense for what happened up here on Friday night.
Oh,
What
man.
set us
Yeah.
back a little bit, at least initially, with
Yeah.
trying to get up and running.
Well, basically what happened, we had a fairly strong upper level system come through, and the in the past 30 days or so, the Arctic has had a significant warm up, and it basically pushed all the cold air out of the Arctic. And I'm sure if you've been following any kind of news, you'll know that Europe took a much bigger hit winter weather-wise than we did. Places like Ireland and England, completely snow-covered. Just set up a situation where we could have a storm develop and then just kind of get stuck and sit and spin. And it just created a huge wind field that did some significant damage along the Massachusetts coast, the Cape. Parts of Rhode Island are still probably without power. I know friends of mine in eastern Connecticut they got their power back. Actually, I was driving home from Boston. I saw some of my friends noting that they got their power back. So there's been people out of power for 2 days. A couple people looking, maybe a couple areas toward the Cape looking at maybe another day or 2 without power. The water damage was awful. It's just Mother Nature's. This time of year, there's so many opportunities for extra, warm air and cold air to meet, and that creates problems usually.
Yeah, and it definitely created some problems on the doorstep of Lucky Strike on
Oof,
Friday night.
yeah, that sign came down hard.
There's a large sign that stood outside of
Yep.
this alley for many years, and I
Caught the
assume
wind.
It was just a really good gust of
Yeah,
wind, and
one
the whole
gust,
thing
yeah.
came down. So
And unfortunately for this area, there's more snow in the forecast, or at least on the models for next week and then the week after. So March is starting off to be a pretty volatile month, and I know. Looked outside this morning. I was out and I was cleaning off some debris from the front of my porch, and I noticed my Easter lilies are starting to pop up. So
It's
Not
been
so
an
sure they
interesting
wanna come up.
February, Yeah. Well, yeah, and so that set us back on Friday night.
yes, took out the internet, took out
And a lot of outages. up
Bernie
here.
with a.
Yeah.
I actually got all 10 that time.
Oh wow,
And I left earlier today. He was getting 9s.
that's right.
So-
Yeah, he and a lot of them, in
A
fact.
lot of 9s.
Yeah. So, Pat, we were just handed a little note here that says Phil. Pardon me if I'm mispronouncing this. I Phil Clough. It's not
Clough.
Phil Clough?
Is it cloth? I'll go with cloth.
I
Sounds like cough with an L. We'll go
Clough.
with that.
Yeah, he's off to a heck of a start to his second.
Yeah, I would
block.
say,
mean, 172, 152, 151.
Sure.
That's
470,
four-
480?
485,
Yeah, I think he's okay with that.
475. Yeah.
Is he on our leaderboard somewhere?
No, he's not.
So if that's his start, so see, this is another thing about this tournament that's so cool. Those 3 games could make him more than half his money back
Yeah,
because
or all of it. Even.
each
I mean,
each triple block counts. So that's a
Yep.
really cool thing about this tournament. You never know with 12 games where you
there's
where
block
you,
awards, there's game
Ugh.
awards, there's just so many
Yeah.
ways to qualify or win.
so
win
many
a prize.
incentives.
Yeah.
There's games on each lane, and there's a spare lane where you just make spares. The most spares wins.
Yeah.
So
All that's and
So
a lot of that
interesting.
is made possible by the generosity
sponsors,
of
yeah,
sponsors.
awesome.
And a lot of legwork that's done
Yep.
in advance of the tournament to solicit.
Well, I'll tell you what, Eric, we learned as
Donations.
Duckpin TV learned, and I haven't really explained the craziness behind my thoughts. But when I told Brian just go to GoFundMe, we do a fundraiser at my school. We've done this for the past 2 years, and we sell popcorn, and it's ridiculously expensive. Like you get a bag of popcorn for like $9. And I told the kids, I said, don't go out and try to sell popcorn. Go out and ask for money. Just go out and tell people, I need money for my school. We want to go on some field trips. Depending on what you donate, we'll give you a certain size bag of popcorn. And the last 2 years, they've sold over $12,000 worth of popcorn 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And the school gets half of that. And it was just because they did it without any, they just said, we need money. We need help. Can you give us $9? If you give us $9, we'll give you a little bag of popcorn as a token of our appreciation. If you give us 15 or 20, we'll give you a nice size bag. And the same thing that was behind my rationale with telling Brian to talk about the GoFundMe page. Just ask. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? And we found out that people out there were more than willing to help us out in a big way. It's mind-boggling to me how easy it was to do that, and how impressed I'm so impressed with the Duckpin community for doing what they did.
Yeah, it definitely I take it as a testament to the fact that people appreciate what we're doing and care about this game and want to take care of it. And it's not easy to think of ways to do that on a personal level. We all try to figure out how to make this a more enjoyable sport.
Yeah.
Duckpin TV being a great example of it for this team. But everybody contributes in the way that they can.
Yeah.
And I have to agree.
I'm
I was
humbled.
very-
Actually,
yeah.
I'm very humbled
Yeah.
by the outpouring of support that we received. It was just so heartwarming to see. And I was being one of those pains. I was like sharing and sharing and sharing and begging. But you know what? It's just, if you don't want to read it, don't read it.
Yeah.
And in the end, what we needed to do, here it is. It's right in front of us. We've got it's such an improved system. We've got running ticker.
Oh, it's
Up-
improved.
it's-
I mean, where we were,
It's incredible.
where we came from was really we couldn't do this anymore.
No,
I mean, we
no,
just- it was not possible, and that was
right.
that was true. That was the true premise of the campaign. Is
Right.
we can't move forward without
We
some
can't
help
do
there.
this without help.
Yeah.
Right.
So here we
And-
are.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, and we're happy to be here, and
I can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be exciting.
yeah, it's
uh,
going to be great. I mean,
Zekas
this
with
is-
a bomb there. Maybe he was missing. Maybe he needed.
Well, you see where he is, Pat.
Yep.
He's down there on lanes 1 and 2, where
Well, that's
even if it's a myth that lanes 1 and 2
it-
score better.
psychologically,
we all go there.
confidence-wise. If you're thinking they score, then they score.
Yeah, you just bowl better for whatever reason that is. It's
Could be the lanes. It could be your mental attitude. It could be just karma. Who knows? But we can see some big scores on those lanes, and be interesting to see if Bernie can come out of the gates down there as well.
and speaking of Bernie, 3 consecutive marks. He's got
Well, he's
59 plus in the 4th.
perfect setup to go down there too.
Yeah, it'd be really great to, get to the 160s or so this game or more, and set yourself up to close on that pair.
It's a little disconcerting sitting here in front of the booth with all the lanes in front of us wide open, but we've got
Yeah,
the
this is-
cameras covered now, so it's
The complete opposite of what the
Right.
situation we had earlier
Correct.
today, where the bowlers we were following were just right in
Right-
front of
right
us.
in front of us,
and
right.
now there's just open lanes in front of us,
Right.
and our cameras are pointed to the extremities of the bowling alley, the farthest right and left lanes
Right.
here to try and watch
And
the bowlers.
Fortunately, I missed the jackpot, the 40 bowlers on 4 bowlers on every pair. It must have been awesome to see the nonstop action.
Yeah, it was quite a lineup, Pat. I mean, we've always you know that stack.
Oh
is gonna be
man, that's
stacked.
right through the 1-5 for Bernie. Oof,
That hurts, and it's
that's
on
a painful.
yeah,
You know what? You got to just take your 2 load, try to get 9 or 10 out of this, and turn it around and go again.
That's that moment that I was talking about a little bit earlier. Just you go through the middle, and it just hurts a little bit more than and it just
2 chop. So
yeah.
right now, if he can get a 8 out of this box, he's going to probably be happy to limp away with that, because that was, and he
Oh.
didn't. That was just 3 balls in a row.
That's a tough frame there for Bernie.
Yeesh.
Yeah, you gotta.
Well, you got to walk away from that and just say start over. Like, you got 24 boxes to go,
Yep.
and I got to make a move from this point on.
Sure.
Forget about it.
Step 1, hit the head pin the next frame.
Right.
Deal
I mean-
with what's left.
He had 18 pins in 2 boxes. Look at it as 2 9 boxes and move on.
Chris Louth with a 5-7-10 there. He was filling a spare. John Zekas in the bottom of your screen. He's got 4 marks to open this game.
Well, he needed a game to start, so he's got 2. He finishes on 3 and 4. So and Louth picks up the 5-7-10. I'd like to see a replay of that if we have that. That would be awesome to see how that went down.
I missed it, and it was right in front of me. That is not an easy thing
That's
to
a
convert. I
very
mean,
difficult shot, and he had to hit it just about perfect to make that. Big spot for Chris. Zekas just off the and little frustration there.
Yeah.
Bernie's going to come back up on lane 20 after that just horrific box he had with a rip 1-5, rip 2-8, and then he peeled off the 6-10
On a spare. I mean,
Just
you
as-
go.
just-
The
just a-
pendulum just
yeah.
swings all the way to the other direction in a matter of 3 balls.
It's just very frustrating when you
Yeah.
throw a ball at the head pin and just take out 2. It's frustrating. It's an aspect of this game that's very difficult to deal with. It's hard to do that in other. Although I've seen candlepin, you can take out just the head pin,
Yes.
that's even worse.
I had my first candlepin outing in 25 or more years.
Ooh,
just a
Lord.
few,
Bernie's
just a few
not gonna
weeks
be-
ago.
Excited about that.
Yeah.
7-9. Oh, did you go up to where, Massachusetts?
We did. Yeah. I went up there with my brother-in-law and a teammate of mine, Nick Geddick, Scott Bontempo. Not in that order. My brother-in-law is
Mhm.
Scott, and teammate is Nick Geddick in the pro league.
Yes.
and we had a great time. I think great time had by all. It
I-
was a really great showing.
That was
from-
my first night of the flu. I was not,
Oh, wow.
you should be all happy that I did not arrive and participate in that event.
We appreciate it. And actually, I should give a shout out to Jim Nestor,
Did a great job. I
who
heard
organized
nothing
the
but good
event.
things about that.
and he had a really good showing of duck pin bowlers. He had some candlepin bowlers, a lot of the same guys who actually have come down to bowl
Sure.
in this event. Those crossover bowlers.
Yep.
And we had a great night. I got to say,
Zekas just came back off of that missed spare with a bomb on lane 2.
yeah, I think
Not probably
maybe more-
happy about
yeah,
that.
Maybe more angry than happy about
Yeah.
it. But what did we? What you reminded me of it in candlepin? Just taking the head pin. I did have one ball where I took the 189 on my first ball. That was interesting.
Well, in candlepins,
And I don't think that's that uncommon.
that's
It was just
probably, you probably just don't see it often as a duckpin bowler, but the ball's so much smaller and lighter, and the pins are actually bigger. So you can get that ball to slide up the head pin and tip it over. The ball goes over the top, and then you're stuck with a mess.
another thing that stuck out to me was just how trained my eye is for duck pin and the way that the size of the duck pin ball.
Right.
And when it's on a certain when the candlepin ball was on a certain trajectory going at the pin,
You thought.
I was pretty certain I was going to hit it, and
But-
and I got to say it was like maybe half the time if I was lucky
You did.
I had that right. I missed a bunch of stuff.
Well, you're used to having that little bubble above. And
yeah,
instead
you've got
these
the
are
bubble
straight
of the
up.
pin, and
Yeah.
you've got a smaller
little bit,
ball. It was just amounted
So,
to a lot of misses on my
See
part.
on lane 19 right now, Chris Louth, who's attempting to load the 5-7-10 spare that he just converted. This will be a big ball right here.
Oh, he deserves as
Yeah,
many
he
as
went
he can get.
So he went off the side for 6 there.
That is makeable. That's
Well,
certainly more makeable.
When you
than
make the
5-7-10.
5-7-10, they're all makeable, really.
Another thing that stuck out that we were, chatting about earlier.
And he did
Chris
convert
converts
that,
it.
as you
I mean,
as you
just-
said. Once you make the 5-7-10, the rest of them just
that
easy.
looked pretty easy.
Yeah,
That
that looks
did look
not.
pretty easy,
They're all
yeah.
together, no problem.
We were talking earlier in the live broadcast of Shift 5A with Tom and I just about the pace of the tournament, maybe bowling in general, but mainly that this tournament has probably slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
In recent years, and we just talked about the way that that ball for ball works.
Right.
Can speed things up.
Right.
And, it's even my personal preference. I
If-
like the rhythm that
we
you
both
get
bowl in
into.
the pro league, and I've done that for 2 years now. And I got to tell you, after bowling several matches of pro league, and then going back to league play, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, when
It is- it is an
it's hard. It's hard to it's hard to slow down.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I mean, if I know people are going to be next to me going, it doesn't bother me. But when you get to league play, you don't know. Is he going to go? Is he not going to go? Is he going to wait?
Yeah.
And so that gets a little disconcerting.
Right. It would be to your point there, Pat. It really would be good if we could just agree on this is how we're going to bowl in this
Right.
In this event or this
Right.
type of event in general. Team.
And then everybody
teams,
knows.
We just it's
And then, of
ball
course,
to ball, don't expect anything else.
Of course.
And,
and even in the pro league, and common sense takes over. It's a 10th box. Yeah, let the guy shoot. I mean, let him finish. But other than that, up to box 10, it really doesn't matter. And you would never hear that come out of my mouth until I actually experienced that in the pro league. The ball for ball is awesome. It really keeps everything moving, and it takes all the questions out. There's no question.
Yeah.
The guy's going, right?
There's Chris.
Looks like he's got a. Now he's really left himself.
2, 7, 8.
He's going for the difficulty level of 11 here.
Yeah.
This might be just as difficult a shot as the 5-7-10. He's got to hit it perfect.
It's tricky, and the walls don't do a lot of helping in this
Nope.
in this alley. They do a little more hurting.
Zekas right here looking for a double, and he's gonna be. Is he gonna get a sweep there?
I think he got it.
I believe it went.
That's a double.
It is a double.
And it looks like Chris made an attempt and
Yeah,
got
he
two out of
get
that.
2 out of 3. Yeah.
It's a couple of ways to make that, but you really are just
Wow, you're
looking
at the
for a
mercy
10.
of the pins there.
Yeah.
So Zekas is down there on 1 and 2. I mean, he's put himself in a position where he needs 2 huge games
To get
in a
back
row,
into
but he's on the right pair to do that.
And he's taking advantage. I mean, he's in spite of that miss on the 2-pinner, the 5-9, he's been flawless outside
Right.
of that.
We are going to see Bernie come up again. He's
Bernie has yet to been able to recover from that.
nah. He's
ripped
still
head pin.
that 1-5 really has taken a big chunk out of his momentum. So just looking again at the open division, you got you and Jesse are up there in the mid 150s. Jesse almost 160.
Jesse and John. Yeah.
You got John up in the upper 150s. So tomorrow, the mindset tomorrow for you and Jesse and John is come out of the gate quick, and you have essentially an advantage going in if things stand as they are. If you can average 150 tomorrow, you're probably in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny being in the position that I'm in. There's still somebody. There's 2 bowlers out there with 25.
Both of whom, well, one you're bowling with, one you're waiting, one will be following you. So
Right. Right. Yeah, and somehow 900 doesn't feel like it's going to be enough. Even
exactly
those guys.
because for Jesse it would be an 843 to get to 1800.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
below his average,
Mhm.
well below his average.
Yeah, I can't deny the pressure is definitely on probably to get to 900 or even a little bit more.
Right.
But, like we were talking about here, this is guessing at what you need is probably
Oh,
not
Lord.
gonna be a very productive.
Now, where are you in the progression of the lanes as far as tomorrow? Where do you start?
I start on 3 and 4.
So you
tomorrow. Yeah,
finished up on 1 and 2
I
yesterday.
did. Yep. John.
Yeah, he left him. A good ball. He left a 5-10 on a good ball, a good hit. Trying to bounce that around, but
He's going to be in the 160s through 9. He's got another frame and could get himself to 180,
yeah, he's
maybe even 190.
He could get to 190. He had that one blip in the middle, and then they get to 510. There's nothing you can do about that.
Bernie broke the streak of opens that
Yes.
followed that ripped head pin.
Chris and Bernie are finishing up their game 4 on 19 and 20. Louth right here with his final box on lane 19. Got that out there. He just about tipped over the 7, but not quite. 9 drop.
Had a busy pin up there that carried.
Took
a
out
couple
the
extra
4,
for
but
him.
couldn't. Took out the 4, but couldn't quite get to the 7.
This has been a grind of a game for Chris. You see nothing but spares up there. He's got five spares.
Yeah, you got that
I think
one too.
that's 6 spares this game.
So looks like
Isn't this the pair, Pat, that has the award on
it
it?
does. Yeah,
Most
that's
spares in a
that's
game?
a spare game award, and whoever has the